All right, what's up, everybody? Today we're doing something different. We got two college basketball players, one from the United States, one from Australia. We're just going to talk about the differences in lifestyles for athletes in the U.S. versus Australia for those going to school and playing basketball. So I got Wesley Butler and I got Zeb Jarvis. Wesley, can you just introduce yourself a little bit, where you're from, where you go to school, your major, things like that?
Yeah. All right. My name is Wesley Butler. I'm a communications major at Kutztown University in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. I'm from Reading, Pennsylvania, so same county. I would say I played at Reading High School. Came from a great program under Coach Perez. Now I play at Kutztown University under Coach Driscoll. So
All right. Kutztown University is the school I went to, so we got a nice little connection. Wesley's not telling you certain things.
there.
Won the state championship in high school at Reading and was freshman of the year at Kutztown University. So I'll put that out there for him since he's being shy right now.
Hey.
Been modest. He's been modest.
And Zed, what about yourself? You play with me, obviously, at RMIT, but share a little bit about yourself too.
Correct. So I am studying at RMIT University, and I'm studying a double degree Bachelor of Applied Science and Health Science in Osteo. And on the back end of that, like you said, I play alongside you at the RMIT Redbacks. We were meant to have my first season here this year, but I've played for the Redbacks at the uni level with the Nationals program. The last four. Played with some other clubs across Melbourne as well. So yeah.
All right. So tell me a little bit how you guys decided to go to school. Like Wesley, what influenced your decision to go to Kutztown? What made you decide to go there versus other schools? Was it recruiting? Was it scholarships? Was it playing time? Just take us through that process a little bit, how it works.
So of course I played AAU when I was young, like from second grade all the way up to, of course, the high school level. I chose Kutztown because that was, on the basketball side, that was my only offer. Coach Driscoll, he saw something in me that no other coach seemed to see. He loved my game. He loved the person I am. And, I felt loved in the program. So I felt like it was a great choice. Also, academically, I saw that kids do well there. My father went there actually, and he has friends there that graduated, and so those people, they gave me great advice and told me, that's a great school to go to, and you'll do well. So that was a great choice.
Man, I'll say Driscoll made a great choice. Only coach to recruit him, freshman of the year in the conference.
Ooh.
All right, Zeb, what about you? I know here it's a little bit different, and I'll show you don't get scholarships to go play basketball. So what made you decide RMIT out of everything that was available?
Yeah. So for here, we like myself, everything was kind of dictated academically for us. So like I chose to go play at RMIT as kind of like external to my schoolwork. So the reason I ended up at RMIT was because I had an obvious interest in working as an allied health practitioner in Australia, and I chose their academic program out there. And then after playing, I was at Keilor Basketball Association in Melbourne before coming across to RMIT, and RMIT didn't actually have a big V team in the comp in Melbourne, so I suppose like once I had heard that was a thing at RMIT, it just seemed like a good decision to come across and have everything in the same spot. I love the program. I've loved the RMIT Redbacks culture since I was a first year uni student here. So to find out that the culture was exactly the same with the Big V program was just, it just seemed like a perfect fit for me. And then obviously after Steve convinced me to, jump ship and come across, I was all down for it. I had Coach Sparrow coming in and everything as well. And oh man, it was amazing. What could have been? So yeah, no, definitely a good decision.
What's to come is going to be special too. We're not going anywhere.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we just want to hear a little bit what the life is like, for a student athlete. Obviously, for you, Zeb, here in Australia, basketball and school mix a little bit differently than it does for Wesley. Describe life, as a basketball player, what it entails, what it involves, between going to class, workouts, and things like that, Wesley.
Okay, so of course, before COVID, the day in the life would be
We'll talk
you
before.
wake up before COVID. Yeah, you know, I'll just take you through my schedule. Not everybody has the same schedule as me, but it's similar. So last year, I would wake up, have a class about 9 or 10 o'clock. Right after that class, go to lifting. Right after lifting, have another class. Then have another class after that. Then you gotta hurry up and get something to eat because you're starving after those two classes. So you go to South Dining Hall, get something to eat. Then you have to go to practice. Usually it's around 3 or 4 o'clock. Then right after practice, you'll have study hall, and you'll have study hall for about an hour and a half. Right after study hall, for me, I usually would have to do some more studying. So either go back to my dorm or go to the library. After that, go get something to eat again. Then you have some free time, at night. You either go to your teammates' dorms, hang out with them. But then you have to make sure you get a good night rest because you got to get up and do the same routine tomorrow. So,
Man, I'm having flashbacks to my college days years ago of all this stuff. Oh. Zeb, what about you? Obviously a little bit different. You don't have practice every day here in Australia. You don't have study hall. You don't have these workouts. It's more on your own time. So how do you balance for you doing your studies but still playing basketball, getting your own workouts in?
So same kind of thing, like pre-COVID times. It is a lot different in Australia. Like over here, usually the big V teams that have 2 trainings a week with the team, and then you can kind of do your own stuff outside of that. For me and where I'm at, and where we were at as a program, Coach Sparrow had kind of like talked about putting in a lot of extra work. So I actually live an hour away from the university, so I have to drive an hour to uni each day. But I found it a really good opportunity because I used to get up in the morning and head out to uni before any of my classes would start, nice and early in the morning. And sometimes I'd meet Steve or some of my teammates out there. We can get a workout in the morning before my classes start. And then from there on, for the rest of the day, really, it's very academic orientated. A lot more like we're in class. I'd usually be in class from 8:30 to 12. Go out, have lunch with friends, and then go back to the library, do some study for the afternoon. And then in the afternoon, after all my study was done, I might work out with some of the guys or hit the weight room. Some of those days we had training as well, so like a team practice, but other days it was just individual work. So a little bit different to I suppose the workload for the guys over in the States. But yeah, it was really good. Like RMIT had they put a very different spin on Australian basketball as a whole, which was cool. So we got to experience a little bit what it was like, I suppose, for the college athletes in America, considering we had Coach Sparrow, who's an American coach. So yeah.
Wesley, how do you balance making sure neither basketball nor your studies suffer? It's very easy to get, from experience, involved so heavy in basketball that your workload suffers, you don't do your homework, but at the same time, it's also easy to make sure you don't want your grades to slip, that you spend less time working out. So how do you balance doing both so that you can stay at a high level, both in the classroom and on the court?
Well, it's expected as a student athlete. You gotta maintain a GPA or you don't play. So it's as easy as that. That's the motivation right there. Coach York, our assistant coach, he does a great job of getting on me and my teammates about our work. If we miss even one assignment, expect a phone call from Coach York saying, "Why don't you turn this assignment in?" He talks to our professors, so he has a great deal to do with, our academic success because he's always on us and just making sure you're studying. If you have a test the day before, tell him, can we move our practice earlier because I need to study. He's great with that, if you go to him and say, "Oh, I'm gonna come late to practice because I need to meet with this tutor," he got me a tutor last semester when I asked him, "Can I have a tutor?" He's all for academics, so that's great.
All right, that's really good. Zeb, what about you? Obviously, we don't provide tutors through the Big B program for you to get help, but you probably have some other type of, things that help you. So share a little bit how you make it happen here in Australia.
Yeah. So obviously it's very separate. Like the basketball and the study side of things in Australia is very different. There's no academic requirements for us here. They're two completely different things. And I think the best thing about having Coach Sparrow come in was that he was very hard on us for the basketball side of things, but was also very understanding that it is a very different culture in Australia from what the American programs are like. So yeah, for us, like I said, I suppose just trying to stay on top of things. It's very independent learning over here. Like Steve was saying, we don't necessarily have tutors. Like at the college level, we kind of do a lot of our work on our own, and then like we have our lecturers and our tutorial classes, which we go into and ask for help with and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I suppose just like trying to stay on top of the workload, making sure that we have all our assignments done so that, like if we have training Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're there. And I suppose for me, I kind of had worked out that I just needed to put in work around my study schedule. So whether it be getting up, an extra 45 minutes earlier so I can get to uni for, an hour of shooting or something like that in the morning, or, whether it be going down at lunchtime and lifting weights sometimes instead of going and hanging out with some of my uni friends. Yeah, we just kind of find different ways and means around staying on top of it. And obviously, like we have the library on campus, which is really good. And considering that, like for us, we've got all our like the basketball stadium and the gym on campus as well at RMIT, it kind of helped because I could do both. Whereas in the past, when I've played for other clubs in Australia, the basketball stadium, Keilor's an hour drive from RMIT University. So, it just would have been hard to get shots up at Keilor with my teammates and then drive all the way back to uni. So, yeah, that's probably one of the big reasons as well that RMIT was such a good fit for me, because now I've got my uni in the same place as I got my basketball. So it does feel very like college-like, very American college-like, which is, it's nice. It's nice. It's good to have everything in the same spot.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the goals on my team moving forward is to provide that platform for, incoming students to be able to play basketball and study, between Big V, between the University Basketball League that started, between uni games, the basketball club. As you know, Zeb, we're trying to push that out there so more kids have opportunities to play. Kind of like in the U.S., Wesley, you play for, the team, but there's also intramurals and all these other options for students, just giving them opportunities to be able to play basketball or do other things. What would be the biggest challenges, for both of you personally involving school and basketball? I'll give you an example for me, to help you think. As you know, Wesley, we travel, I say we travel, me 10 years ago, I traveled. You go to a game on a Wednesday night, you go down to Shepherd or something, and you got to be back. You get back at 1, 2 in the morning, and you got an 8:30 class. For me, that was the hardest thing because you're concentrated on the game. You give everything you got, you're exhausted, you get back late, but you still got to get right back up the next morning, go to class, and start all over again. For me, that was always something that not just physically, but also mentally was tough. Because let's say you have a test the next day, well, you got to play well. Your job is to, play basketball and do well, but your job is to do well in school. What would be some examples for you that are, the most challenging things about being a student athlete in the U.S.?
I would say the most challenging thing is learning, there's a lot of distractions on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's the hardest thing, telling your friends, no, I'm not going to a party this Friday night because I have a game in the morning on Saturday. Or telling your friends, oh, I'm gonna study, I'm not coming over to, play video games. So I would just say that's the hardest part, wanting to pick the time to do things and just put in stuff and what's more important, just always keeping that on your mind. What's the goal? So just staying focused.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. If you have a goal in mind, it definitely helps. If you kind of just wing it, then, every day something different's going to happen. But if you know your ultimate goal, I know for you, it's to be the best player you can be. Freshman of the year honors proves that your goal was more important than video games, parties, or whatever else. So that's big. What about you, Zeb? What are some things for you? I know for you, it's a little bit different because being an osteo, you got things like clinical hours you got to get in and stuff. And that definitely takes priority, over any type of basketball. What would be some examples you have?
Yeah, and I think you're on the right track there. Like for me personally, it's really hard to prioritize things, and I think like the academic side of things for me at the moment is definitely probably one of my priorities. And obviously, like coming towards the end of my degree, there's a lot of focus on hands-on and practical hours that we need to complete. So yeah, I more find the challenge being finding that balance between everything. I am very passionate about basketball. I love it. And I definitely, love playing it and want to play it. But I think the culture in Australia is very different, and a lot of people get conflicted and find it difficult to really find that work, study, and play sport balance. So, things tend to drop. For me, I've been lucky that I've been able to kind of, I suppose, like you said, group everything in the one place. I've had my uni and my basketball both in the same place. So it's made it a little bit easier for me, I suppose, to really focus on those two because they are kind of paired up. So when I go to uni, I can work on my basketball stuff. But as I start to creep closer into work and like getting a job and all that kind of stuff, yeah, I think that's probably going to be another challenge that I'm going to have to overcome, is finding that balance again of, how I'm going to get out to Bundoora and do my studies and work a job and work those clinical hours and get my reps in for, my weights and my shooting and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's probably just finding the balance. A good balance is probably my biggest challenge.
Okay. Moving forward, what are some of the goals you have? Wesley, what is your goal to get out of this, student athlete experience you're going to get at Kutztown? Is it to play professionally later on? Is it to get a certain job in a certain field? What's next for you that you want to accomplish after this?
I'll say I do want to play. Well, first I want to, of course, get my bachelor's degree in communications. Then I want to go on and play professionally. Not any particular country in mind, but just play professionally. And then, of course, I'm not going to be able to dribble a basketball at 67 years old. So, of course, I want to be able to use my communications degree and use it to be a sports analyst, or sports anchor, talk about sports. Also, get involved in, business like real estate and owning property and just being a CEO and being your own boss, stuff I'm interested in. So.
Yeah, love it. Great stuff. Zeb, what about you? I know we've had some talks, so you want to share a little bit about what your dream is to do with this?
Yeah. So like from like an academic side of thing, obviously, like being an osteo, working like with athletes, I have a very big interest in working with sports people. So like as an allied health practitioner, working for a sporting team of some sort, maybe like a professional or elite level team. And then from a basketball point of view, like just grow, kind of like grow the culture. It's a bit different, like for me, I suppose basketball wise. I'm playing probably at a really good level, and I kind of want to grow this program to that state champ level in Melbourne, and help you grow the team further into the Big V and kind of like get it up the ranks to the stage where we are playing that state champ / NBL 1 level. We had a really good opportunity to go across to Adelaide at the start of this year and play against a heap of NBL 1 teams and kind of proved ourselves on that stage with them. So yeah, like I think just growing the RMIT culture and the RMIT basketball program for me at the moment is kind of like one of my goals. in regards to basketball. And then I suppose that's really it. And then with the national stuff as well, like the uni nationals, winning a gold medal would be elite next year in my last year. If we won a gold medal next year, I'd love it.
Time,
I would absolutely love it. I've had too many silver medals. Too many silver medals.
Next year's the year. Don't worry, we got this.
I know.
Just final question. What is advice you would give to, younger kids who look at you guys? Obviously, Wesley, you have a huge impact in the Reading community. Having won a state title, then being, on scholarship at a Division II school, winning freshman of the year. And who knows what's next? You got 3 more years. I expect a PSAC title at some point. That's the one thing missing from my resume is I lost twice in the championship. So I need somebody to fill that gap for us. What advice would you give to kids?
I would just say to kids to follow your own path. There's going to be other people who are accomplishing things in your life, and you're going to look at them and say, oh, why am I not getting what they're getting? Or I feel as though I'm better than them in this, whether it's sports or school. And just know it's different strokes for different folks. Everybody has their own path. And so just stay focused on your path and keep working hard at whatever you do. And great things will come. And just let God do his work.
All right. Zeb, what about for you? Obviously a little bit different again as well, being in Australia, but for a kid who has dreams of playing Big V, but also, getting his degree in whatever field of study they choose, what advice can you help us with?
Yeah, I think my biggest piece of advice would be don't say no to anything. Just because there's so many opportunities that present themselves to people, especially at the university level. And the biggest thing that I tried to change mindset wise from coming out of high school and coming from a different university to coming to RMIT was just to get involved with as much stuff as you can. And you never know, with uni, you might find something for example, I found the basketball team at uni and got involved with that just because I didn't say no, and I've loved it ever since and I've never looked back. And, it's really opened up some doors for me, coming across and playing with the RMIT Big V team. So, I would just say, just don't say no to anything and pursue any opportunity that presents itself to you, even if it's just a thought about it or if it's actually walking the talk as well and following that opportunity.
All right, guys. I appreciate your time. Definitely awesome to be able to hear 2 different perspectives, in 2 different countries about what a student athlete looks like. One who's in the U.S. and how basketball is a full-time job, the same way going to school is. And Zeb, learning how to balance becoming the best basketball player you can be in an environment that doesn't often provide it the same way. It's a lot easier for us Americans to grow in our respective sports and athletic abilities when you go to university because it's so hardcore with our workouts, our weight room, our tutors, our training, but you've definitely given us some great insight on how to make it happen here. So appreciate both of your time. Look forward to sharing this with a bunch of people and helping them grow.
Cool. Thanks, Steve. Nice to meet you, Wesley.
Nice meeting you too. Thank you for having me.
Yep, no worries.